1, 2, is this on?
There have been plenty of wrestlers over the years who have debuted in WWE but failed to live up to the hype.
I love WWE.
Kozlov is just bad, man. He never got it.
We're not just referring to the expectations that were set by fans, but also by the company themselves, courtesy of pre-debut packages advertising the talent's arrival.
Brakus! What the fuck? I remember this guy's vignettes.
That was our reaction.
In this video, we'll be covering various examples where a performer's run missed the mark following weeks of promotional vignettes.
Triple H is getting ready to debut his monster. We're running vignettes and stuff, and he was like, "Are we sure?" The old man thinks you're funny, man. They approached me with being a babyface, and my answer was basically, F no.
Today, we highlight 10 wrestlers WWE overhyped with video packages.
It was funny, when we first came up, we were Vince's shiny new toys, and I think we were tarnished in a month. So it didn't take too long.
Fans who watched Ultimo Dragon before his WWE debut in 2003 would have known he was one of the world's most outstanding wrestlers. However, those who'd never seen him likely wouldn't have agreed with this sentiment after watching him on SmackDown, despite the earlier promotional videos bigging him up. But unlike Sin Cara, who fans later compared him to, Dragon not living up to the hype was more the company's doing than anything else. Since Ultimo could have easily been tearing it up in the ring every week had he been afforded the opportunity. Instead, Dragon was made to work matches that were usually 5 minutes or less, often having to put other talent over, that is if he was even booked at all, since Dragon was quickly relegated to the C shows after just a few weeks. WWE made it seem like we'd be getting a standout performer who'd head up the Cruiserweight division.
Dragon! He is an international superstar! The Ultimo Dragon beats Shannon Moore!
However, it soon became clear that this version of Dragon was quite toned down, since he was forced to work a slower WWE style with even further limitations on top of that. There were a few bright spots during his 1-year run with the promotion.
Watch Dragon fly! Oh, look at this! This is the SA moonsault named after the dragon, and he connects!
But ultimately, Dragon's run had to go down as a failure, since he wasn't allowed to be the authentic version of himself. By the end, he was jobbing to lower card talent on Velocity, which just goes to show how much WWE had failed Dragon. Ultimo has said that he left because they tried to change who he was, even wanting to remove the mask. The reason being that they wanted Rey Mysterio as the only masked wrestler on SmackDown. There's been plenty of failed meatheads WWE have hyped up only for the wrestler in question to fall flat on their face, because they had no personality and couldn't work a lick. German bodybuilder Brakus was definitely one of the worst of these generic jacked up robots. He was considered an uncoordinated lump with poor cardio, who had trouble bumping so used a crash pad in training. True to form of how bad he was, multiple promos aired in the summer of '97 for Brakus, only for him to never debut.
Mein Name ist Brakus und ich komme von Deutschland. Mein Gewicht ist 300 Pfund.
Brakus was instead given to ECW to try and hone his skills, but they promptly sent him back after just 2 matches. He truly had no hope of making it in wrestling, working just 2 televised matches in total for WWF.
It's a great goal for this young man to take back to his country, I guess. And certainly that's spine buster. Whoa,
the second of which saw him get the crap beat out of him in the Brawl for All.
Watch this shot. Pow! Right in the nose!
Savio got the left hand. Brakus dropped that right hand.
Brakus was then released and soon hung up the boots he should have never tied up in the first place. Brakus was so obsessed with his physique that one time the wrestlers ribbed him by saying he was getting smaller. Shortly after, he was apparently crying in the corner of the locker room, stuffing his face with a can of tuna. The phrase $1 million body with a 10-cent brain rings true here.
Brakus was a bodybuilder. He didn't have the mobility.
Brakus had about as much business in the Brawl for All as I would.
Brakus drew comparisons to Vladimir Kozlov, who was another failed foreign heel that was meant to be pushed as a monster. He was a lot better than Brakus, though that's not saying much. Kozlov didn't get any highlight clips promoting his arrival, but he did cut a few live promos before he initially wrestled.
I love WWE. I love WWE. I love WWE.
Anything else, Vladimir?
I love WWE. I love WWE.
However, while entertaining, they were completely ridiculous, and Kozlov's debut was shelved for another year.
Pretty impressive looking athlete. I don't know why the folks are booing.
After finally making his in-ring debut, Kozlov squashed enhancement talents for months before then being thrown into the WWE title picture while being positioned as a serious competitor. He clearly wasn't ready for such a role, as his matches were so boring. Meanwhile, he lacked heel charisma despite his menacing presentation.
A little bit of Kozlov in my life. A little bit of... Look at... Oh! Funaki had a lot of crap.
Wins every time.
No. more powerful. And this time...
It's crazy to think Kozlov was being talked about to wrestle The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. Shawn Michaels even had to defeat the Moscow Mauler in a match to determine who'd face Taker at the show of shows. There would be no place for Kozlov at Mania that year, and he never received a featured role on the show again.
I think that's a good game plan right there, guys. Oh, there goes Kozlov. Oh!
And Kozlov.
It's a one-on-one match. Zack Ryder looking to take control.
Ryder with the Rough Rider. Going in on Kozlov. And that'll do it. Wow.
Kozlov is just bad, man. He never got it, you know. I mean, I trained with Kozlov at Deep South in OVW. It was rough, man.
He remained employed for another 2 years, although the last stretch of his run featured plenty of losses, as he was paired in a comedic tag team with Santino Marella.
Suddenly found himself in a predicament of his own.
Here, Kozlov proved to be much better at comedy, as opposed to being a bland villain. In April 2014, cheesy motivational videos began airing on Raw, promoting former NXT champion Bo Dallas as an inspirational character.
A lot of people take the word impossible as a negative thing. The word actually says, I'm possible.
Bo seemingly promoted a positive message, but did so in a condescending, patronizing way that made him a heel, especially since these packages would air multiple times on the same show for weeks.
You can't spell challenge without change. It's hard for an egg to become a bird, but an egg can never learn to fly.
After debuting, Dallas racked up a 17-0 win streak, but almost exclusively wrestled lower card talent in short nothing matches. Meanwhile, the promos that were written for him became less interesting over time, and weren't as good as the vignettes.
Life isn't about the destination. It's about the journey. There's plenty of fish in the sea. And one day you'll catch the right one. Good work. One day you'll be a champion of life.
Look at that. Encouraging his fallen foe.
Hey, buddy. I'm 9-0.
Instead of motivational one-liners, it was now the same old generic catchphrase promo, every time with a little creativity. The streak eventually ended, which led to Bo losing more and more, while getting less time on the mic as the character fizzled out. It had potential and was good for a bit.
This kid, who is a young man now, is an inspiration.
But could have been so much better, like that of a Damian Sandow.
Get the hell out of my ring!
In a similar vein to Bo, the Ascension were quite successful in NXT, which didn't translate to the main roster.
We died on destruction and feast upon fear. Brutality is our business, and we're open all night long.
The hype packages featured an altered, more dated presentation compared to their time on the Black and Gold brand.
The doctors are in, and it's time to take your medicine. And it's a lethal dose of destruction.
But there was still some hope given how well they had done in developmental. However, if you watched WWE over the years, then you know that the main shows were where numerous NXT talent had gone to die. This is because Vince McMahon's vision for these characters was so out of touch with what had worked previously, given the fact he'd likely never seen them perform.
So this is what creative has for you. If you flip it over, you're going to see what they have in mind. We flipped it over, and I go, Dream goes like this, sitting next to me, he goes, fucking Egyptians. And
the Ascension quickly became Road Warrior ripoffs, something McMahon instructed JBL to bury them for on commentary.
Truthfully, there are no great tag teams of the past. There's only one tag team of the future.
These guys couldn't carry the Road Warriors' bags.
Ain't it any more respect in your eyes?
No. Animal of the Road Warriors bench press 600 pounds. These guys do Pilates.
As well as the fact they were constantly getting put up against jobbers.
Come on, you gotta be kidding me. You're comparing yourself to the Road Warriors, you're having to get there against two auto mechanics. Going after this competitor. Competitor? He looks like a pull cue. Completely willing to dish out the carnage here in WWE against two ostrich farm manure shovelers. Fight somebody that can fight back. Then when you beat them, you've done something. Then you can brag about it.
JBL has said his weekly trashing of the team was supposed to have a conclusion, but the only thing that came close to a payoff was when Bradshaw and other legends laid waste to the Ascension.
Be careful, you don't tear a rotator.
There we go.
Clothesline from hell.
Following this, the duo were used as enhancement talents for the next 4 years until their departure.
Because a lot of those people, like when you talk to the merchandising people or whoever else, they're like, there's so much shit we can do with you guys. We're like, yeah, there is. The office isn't letting any of it happen. It was funny when we first came up, we were Vince's shiny new toys, and I think we were tarnished in a month. So it didn't take too long.
After an uneventful first few months on television in 2011, Brodus Clay went away for a bit before we began to see promos advertising his return, in which he was being built up as a monster heel.
I am a monster underneath your bed. I am a physical juggernaut.
At 1, 2, when I pull his head up.
I am the end.
Fans weren't expecting much from Clay, since he did nothing of note in his previous run. The problem was that these vignettes continued to be shown for months, with GM John Laurinaitis assuring people Brodus was coming, only for him to never emerge.
So what I'm thinking is that next week, we do it big. And we'll do it next week, okay? All right, Brodus, it's one more week, okay? It's gonna be perfect. I guarantee it, okay? Alright, I gotta go. Thank you, Brodus.
Videos warning us about Kane's return started to air after Clay's, so it's possible WWE wanted to keep the focus on him instead. There was no real place for Brodus either, since there were already plenty of big guys on the roster that were more established.
So I would have been either the 4th or 5th monster. That doesn't usually bode well in terms of, like, you know, where you're going.
This would all play into the version of Clay that eventually debuted. He wanted to do a Hall of Pain style character, but this was given to Mark Henry. Brodus instead was repackaged as a dancing babyface, after McMahon overheard him cracking jokes in the locker room and thought a fun-loving persona would translate to TV.
And they were like, well, then there's this, they see this guy who's always cracking jokes in the locker room and stuff, and is silly backstage and messing around. And looking in hindsight, it came out perfectly. But going through it, I was pulling my hair out every day.
What is he doing? My bad.
We gonna call our mamas!
Before the dancing aspect was pitched, Clay point blank said no when asked if he could be a face.
Triple H is getting ready to debut his monster. We're running vignettes and stuff, and he was like, "Are we sure?" The old man thinks you're funny, man. They approached me with being a babyface, and my answer was basically, F no.
He's since said he thinks the Funkasaurus character could have been a punishment for initially refusing.
The other caveat that he has, there's one more thing. And I was like, what? He's like, he thinks she should dance too. And I was just like, what? I don't dance, bro. Even when I was in the club's bodyguard, I didn't dance.
Yeah.
What? And then the night we're getting ready, because Undertaker hated it. Taker absolutely hated it. He's like, look at you. He's like, you're the one guy who looks the part. So why are we doing this? So that was the toughest challenge of my wrestling career. And when I look back on it, my favorite.
Anybody can pretend to be tough on TV. Being entertaining and going out and smiling and making everybody smile. And then when the bell rings, be able to, you know, do your thing. That's not easy.
Clay would later be compared to Veer, since over 5 months passed from when Veer's hype packages first ran until he finally debuted. Emma received the same treatment starting in October 2016. She didn't show up on Raw until February of the next year, and yet the clips of the repackaged Emmalina were shown for 17 weeks, saying how she was premiering soon. This became an inside joke and online meme since creative had no plans for her on the roster. Once Emma finally appeared on Raw, she was taken off TV without ever having wrestled as Emmalina, since she was now Emma again.
Now you'll see the makeover from Emmalina to Emma.
What?
Thank you.
Come again?
The higher-ups weren't convinced she could pull it off, since they wanted her to be similar to that of a Sable. This was the same old confused creative that WWE were infamous for during this time period. In March 2017, vignettes began airing hyping up Emma minus the Lena.
It's all about me.
She returned a month later, but was released by the end of the year.
Is this actually happening? Whoa. Apparently it is.
Giovanni Vinci was a decent hand as part of a tag team with Imperium, while also acting as a silent henchman for Gunther. However, Vinci was the odd man out after WWE split him and Ludwig Kaiser up, since they saw potential in Kaiser as a singles competitor. Vinci then stayed off television for a while before flashy videos began playing on SmackDown, portraying him as a rich playboy.
Correndo in pista lo faccio tutto con stile e presto porterò quella stessa determinazione implacabile a SmackDown. Quando entro nel ring non è solo per competere, è per vincere. Vinci. Giovanni Vinci.
These packages seemed like he was being lined for a push. However, Vinci was quickly defeated in his only 2 singles matches on SmackDown.
And look at Cruz from behind. Wait. His shoulders are down and He got him! Cruz got him! Cruz got him! Oh, Cruz, though, slips underneath, rolls him up now. Shoulders are down. No! He's got the win again! Are you kidding me?
Following these quick losses, fans speculated if Vinci was being punished for something backstage, especially since he appeared just one more time on screen before being released in February 2025 after 4 months of inactivity. Waylon Mercy was a character inspired by Robert De Niro's Max Cady character from the movie Cape Fear. Like Cady, Mercy was a psychopath with a calm exterior.
The wrestlers that get into that ring's lives are going to be in Waylon Mercy's hands.
Waylon was also an untrustworthy conman, ready to unleash hell on his opponents.
Holding the rope now for Doink the Clown, and look.
He was a dark thorn amongst the rosy, colourful and cartoony WWF in 1995.
What we need to do is follow the rules. You know what I mean?
This was seen in his vignettes. Mercy was creepy yet subdued, quiet but intriguing.
But you know something, I enjoy worms. But I don't enjoy worms crawling on me. With their fried chicken and potato salads and some hot dogs.
The gimmick was really ahead of its time. This persona didn't translate to the ring. The idea was that after the bell rang, Mercy would switch from the Southern gentleman to a psycho. But things weren't really fleshed out properly.
He's actually shaking hands with the official. He's a great guy. I don't think so. I don't trust this man, not at all.
Waylon Mercy, he's a peaceful man. He likes these peaceful surroundings.
Those are the furious, strangest looking eyes I've ever seen. Mercy's face. Waylon Mercy applying a sleeper hold on Jeff Hardy. Look at his eyes.
Waylon was also limited in the ring due to past injuries, as this run was brief and came quite late in his career.
Waylon Mercy was losing money. And I'm eating all these painkillers and stuff. Now, if they had me in a run with Kevin Nash and I was doing something and going somewhere and making money, then I could have justified, hanging in there.
Yeah. Wow.
I couldn't justify it.
The potential was definitely there though, and we would later see Bray Wyatt succeed with a loose version of this character that took inspiration from Mercy. Lastly, we'll look at some odd vignettes that were mildly amusing, but never actually led to anything. To set the scene, Johnny Curtis had recently won the game show version of NXT, which meant he was promised a tag title shot with his pro R-Truth. This never ended up happening though. Curtis instead appeared cutting bizarre promos that listed different play on words and puns while hyping his SmackDown debut. These were believed to be a direct rip-off of what Zack Ryder was doing on his YouTube show at the time. Here, Ryder was passive-aggressive while making fun of his spot in the company.
I'm trying to get over it. I'm reaching for it. I'm reaching for the brass ring. I'm reaching for it. Got it. I got it. I can draw money.
Just as Curtis was now doing himself on television.
By no means am I bitter whatsoever. However, I do have one of these. And I will pick you. And you, my friend, you don't make the cut. Because I have one of these. I'm gonna take the cake. I want to avoid doing this. Painting myself into a corner. I'll be making my debut a lot sooner than you think. And the cat is out of the bag. Because the writing is on the wall.
The skits went on for nearly 2 months before Curtis was squashed by Mark Henry.
I want you to go out there and break a leg.
Then after just one match, Curtis was sent back to NXT.
I think I had a little bit of an attitude backstage, and Vince came up with those crying over spilled milk promos with Johnny Curtis, and then just kind of didn't do anything with my debut.
He'd finally get his big break on the main roster as the ballroom dancer Fondongo a year and a half later. Now if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out our similar video on 10 times fans turned on their favorite wrestlers. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you next time.